In recent videos that I've been putting up, I've been talking about the internal geometry of the eye. We know it's got a double taper. How in the world do you do that? All right, so here's 4 basic ways that you'll make an X, moving from individually made up to mass produced. You know, but somebody working tongs took some steel and he got this nice and hot so that he could move the material. And then he was smashing it with a hammer to form a rectangular billet. And he puts it back in the forge and he takes it back out. Now he's got to form the blade, and he's forming that blade. And he gets it about where he wants it. As soon as he gets the block where he wants it, he's got to punch that eye. So they take a drift up here and they start punching it, and they'll punch it. And I watch the videos, you've watched the videos, they'll punch it through. Then they'll take it this way and they'll punch it through. And the whole time they're watching it, because you know, if you've been hanging vintage axes, you know, this eye not all the time is lined up right. And sometimes it's tilted this way or that way. So you know that they're taking, at some point, the blacksmith has to make an effort to get that to be straight up and down and make the eye walls somewhat similar, okay? Although you've got to have run across, if you've hung very many, you've run across one where this is thin and that's fat, okay? And then you just accommodate that as you're hafting it, you're coming down on here. Okay, that's one way. So they automate the practice. The first way that they automated the practice was called a trip hammer. Now the trip hammer is a big weighted hammer. They have what's called an open die forging process, because whatever plate or whatever they put on the bottom, they call that a die. It might just be an anvil type plate. And there's one on the bottom of the hammer. And there is a catch, might be a cam operated one, lever operated one, it might be, I don't know, on a chain or something. Something, you hook it up to the water wheel that you got outside your building because you built it on a stream or whatever, or whatever source of power you have, you engage it, it lifts that weight up, and then it trips and drops down your controlled shaft. So it's not going to bounce all over, right? So it lifts up, pound, lifts up, pound, lifts up, trip, lifts up, trip, lifts up, trip, lifts up, trip. And what you do now as a blacksmith is you just wait for that cyclic rhythm of that hammer, and you go pound, pound. You know, you do what you got to do, timing it to that. And when we want to turn it off, you disconnect the power. So it's cyclic, rhythmic dropping of a weight. Now we go to the next method where we're going to drive the weight down. So it's kind of a misnomer to call it a drop hammer. It's a driven hammer under the blacksmith's control. I think in Liam Hoffman's, I haven't been to a blacksmith shop. I haven't visited Liam Hoffman, but it looks in the videos as if there's a lever, a round lever on the floor that he steps on to activate his hammer. Okay, it's still an open die process, meaning that all the shaping is done by the blacksmith, judging where the hammer hits and skillfully placing the forces where they need to go. So each impact is doing what he wants it to do, or she wants it to do. Plenty of female blacksmiths. That when I was watching the Russian blacksmith, it was a female. It was a woman. I don't like to say it was a female or it was a male, because I'm not breeding animals. These are human beings. It's a woman, okay, a woman blacksmith. When they get the shape done, they got everything that they wanted. Now they're going to go through the eye tapering process, and they open this up so that it flares open. Then you'll see them flip it over, and they put it in the bottom. Probably don't go as far, so that these two tapers will meet up somewhere about in there. That's where we get the idea that you need to cut your kerf 2/3 to 3/4 of the way down, because you're trying to meet that taper. And what I was saying in previous videos, it's not always there. It is there if you automate the process. Let's go to type of forging 4. It's going to be the same drop hammer, the same driven hammer that comes down. Imagine now that the dies are the shape of the head. So I'll take the rectangular billet and I'll put it in the die. Maybe the first die is to make sure they're all the same. So I'm working with the same material. All right, it's going to be multiple steps, different dies. And to me, the question was, if I've got it that automated, it just doesn't make sense to me that now I'm going to hand it to a blacksmith and his helper to punch the top eye and punch the bottom eye. That seemed a lot of extra work. So I went looking through patents, the Google patents, you know. And the first problem I have is you're not going to find them all. So you can't find them all with Google. You'd have to go to the patent office, sit down, physically look at the patents. Or if somebody, sometime, I mean, for a short given time period I was looking at, there were 18,000 patents. Somebody would have to sit there and hand load each of those into the computer to put them available online. In short, I'm not going to find them. It's not easy to find the patents. But I'm looking for the patent. How do we automate that so that we're still doing it in 2026? Surely, somewhere, someplace has put in a patent for a die or a machine that forms that without having to have it take so many separate steps. So I found out they did once. I found a patent from 1857. Was it 1856? I'll put it up here. It actually was in a saw blade manufacturing plant. Said, we want to make axes. So I think I've found two different patents for this guy and his partner. One was for a machine to make axes. I found lots of patents for the machine itself, on an automated machine for forging a hammer, or for hammers, hatchets, and axes. His die was a complicated multiple part die that as the hammer came down, he had it channeled in such a way that you put the billet inside of the closed die. As you are driving it down, it sucks in the sides. So he's not making his this way. He's making his this way, vertically. And he does it in one process. His hammer comes down, drives on the top of the die pulls in the sides. And the top die and bottom die both have these little tangs that hang out. They're tapered. I'm going to go analog on you here for a second. But you see on this drawing, maybe you can see it better, how this top die here has these little recesses built into it. They're going to slip over these sides. So this is the side showing you that it's hinged. You drop your billet in here, that octagonal bottom here makes that shape of the hammer against the top in there. As the hammer drives this down over the top, this little tang out here in the front and this little tang down here on the bottom, those are going to meet in the middle. Something here, I'll show you a bigger version of this. There, now you'll be able to see it a little bit better here. Okay, here's that top tang, and here's the bottom one. Those are creating the tapers. Now they're only going to go in, see I darkened it right here? They're only going to go in about that far before they bottom out. Okay, and same with this one on the bottom. This one's twice as long as that one, meaning this will be 2/3 of the way down where it meets. Okay, so they're punching the eye in at the same time they're making the head, and instead of making the head flat like this, they're making it vertical. And I'll explain why that didn't catch on, because that's not the way it's done, guaranteed. So that the top one goes down and the bottom one comes up through the eye, and those little tapers, one goes this way, one goes this way, they meet exactly 2/3. Every single head actually used it. That machine was patented and built and used for about 1.5 years before the company went under. I have no way of verifying they were acquired or they just went out of business, but at that same time, starting to go into the late 1800s, giant axe manufacturers were dominating the market and these little guys were going out of business. I like the way that Claude put it. He's got such clever, the AI platform, Claude AI by Anthropic. I just am tickled every time I use this thing because it's so much more chatty and interactive and thorough than Google AI or ChatGPT. Those are kind of robotic. This one's a comedian. And he said, it seems like that patent holder solved a problem in 1857 that no one's needed solving since. He solved a problem no one solved since. Because they just thought it wasn't worth the time or the money or the effort or the frustration of having to fix their dies or having extra dies around every time they broke. When I did the research, what the two different AI platforms that I used to conduct the research concluded was, it seemed to them that it was likely that the major corporations already had their die and manufacturing processes down. Theirs was multiple steps in the same fashion that is carried on today by Council Tool and Branton Cochran. It's a multiple step process, multiple tooling processes. So they got different dies. They have different stages. Flaring of the eyes is a separate stage. It's not done at the same time. That's too bad, because the guy had it down. And the second reason they theorized that major manufacturers would not imitate that complex multiple part die, because it's very expensive to make that die. It's got moving parts because it's hinged. It's got multiple failure points. Nobody wanted to invest time in something that was almost certain to fail, and the kind of forces that you're going to be putting on that head as you're forging it. So just leave it a multiple step, simple operation. Long story short, even in 2026, if you're mass producing axes on a closed die drop hammer system, there are multiple manufacturing steps. After the head is formed, they're going to work on punching, drifting, and tapering the eye. Okay. And then they'll go through their finishing processes. There's not a simpler way around it, and no evidence that anybody is doing a single stage manufacturing process of axes, not even in Vietnam.